This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you if people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else? Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today. The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Leaf Girl, Min, Sex Caliber Bones a Lot, Madeline, Edward, Alyssa, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Jeremy, Allie, Logan, Libby, Aaron, Kristen, Amy, Tia, Jonathan, Isaac, and Karoon. But because it's that special time of the month, we get to shout out our You Can Get It level sponsors, and they are Kathy, Aaron, Nikki, Knitting Menace, Samantha, Trevor, Renee, Billy, Jennifer, Levi, Caitlin, Kate, Dharma, Grace, Amanda the Playwright, Seth, Tori, Bryce, Vanny, Sean, Mr. Ragebomb, Shayna, Ali, Dr. Voorhees, MD, Robert, Amelia, Liza, spelled phonetically, which I appreciate, Becca, AJ, Radioactive Spider, Gwen, Irene, Nate, Naomi, Bex, Laura, Cameron, Kaylee, Jackie, Elisa, Mushroom Snail Fox, and Unintentionally Badass, aka Jennifer. And thank you all so much for the love and the support. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group, where we will be hunkering down like everyone in this movie should have been doing, instead of like walking around in the midst of farting forests.
Yeah.
You know, for a movie called The Happening.
Not much happens?
Exactly. It's 100% the joke that I was making.
The only thing I know is the guy who had that plant nursery, who like planted the idea of it being the plants. Mm-hmm. He must have also been working for the hot dog lobby, because that dude
fucking super into hot dog. And admittedly, I fucking love me a hot dog, but like that dude loved hot dogs.
Yeah.
And then we never saw him eat one.
Because the wind was coming, they were chili dogs.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin on Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, the listeners made us watch
The Happening!
The Unhappening.
So, when was the first time you guys saw this movie?
Yesterday. I was aware of it.
Today was my first time.
I have seen it before.
Have you, Mikey? Okay.
I did.
So what was it, like, what happened the first time you saw it? Like, where were you? Were you in theaters? Was this a date? Please go on.
It wasn't a date. It wasn't theaters. It was like on HBO or something. And I watched it and I was like, I had heard it was bad. And so I was like, I'm going to check this out. Boy, howdy.
Mikey, I think that is the perfect way to describe it, because it feels almost like a 50s B movie. Like, it feels pretty bad.
Those seem better. This seems like a high school play. Like everyone's reading off cue cards.
Yeah, man, it feels bad in a way I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And these are real actors besides Marky Mark.
I know. They're real famous people looking like they're delivering their lines at gunpoint. Like, it's insanity.
No character makes a rational decision throughout the film.
Why don't they just stay in the car? It was wrecking my head. Stay inside. Stay in a car. At like 20 minutes into this movie, they're like, I think it might be airborne. And then people just are constantly walking around outside.
Paige, we lived through a pandemic. Like, I believe people would be marking it out here.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's true.
I'd be inside, safe and living.
Think about the real estate boom when the whole Northeast just disappears and you could just move up there.
Well, and I mean, I think the movie was trying to make it scarier by being like, we don't know what caused it. And now the trees are angry again with like that little stinger at the end. And I'm just like, okay, so stay inside. Like, what are we doing? Move underground. I don't give a shit. Like, what?
Yeah, those French people will be fine. They'll just roll their windows up.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's France. Everyone's mad at them, including nature.
I did love that we found out it was France because there was a food cart that's just baguettes.
Well, also, they're speaking in French, right?
Is me, the French.
They don't immediately speak in the scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but I was looking at it, I was like, France, and then I was like, baguette truck, and I was like, France.
Yeah.
And then they spoke in French, and I was like, aha, oui, oui.
I did think it was weird that those lines they spoke in French were hee 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 ha ha ha.
Les poissons, wind, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I just did not like that guy's escargot shorts. They looked really ugly. That's right. Escargot shorts. Take it home.
Do you think that they wrote this movie after 9/11 where Marky Mark was like, I definitely would have punched a hijacker and brought those planes home safe? Do you think they were like, let's give him something he can't punch? It's the wind.
Paige, when you said like the first 5 words of your question, do you think they wrote this movie? I could have answered no to that.
No, I don't think they did.
You didn't have to qualify it a bunch more. No, I don't think they wrote this movie. I think they got 15 days into principal photography and M. Night was like, I don't know, tell him it's the wind or something and we'll fix it later. Like,
this feels like an AI-made film.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah. Even in some of the performances, which I will admit, like, Marky Mark is not the best actor in the world, in my opinion.
Sure.
But he is serviceable in a lot of movies. Like, I've never seen it this bad before.
His first scene in the high school where he's talking to his class, 100% just thought it was a comedy sketch.
Me too. I thought we were watching an SNL sketch, Mikey.
He's like, what do you mean? The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
He's talking about bees disappearing, Mikey.
He's like, you're right, everybody. We'll never figure it out. And I was like, I don't think that's how science works.
It's not.
Marky.
It's also not how nature works.
I mean, people would at least try to figure it out.
Spoilers, it was pesticides.
When we get to that scene, I have so many notes because it is unclear what he even teaches, like what subjects he teaches based on everything in the classroom.
No, it's science. It's 100% science.
He says he's a science teacher.
It's not. There's English quotes on the board.
Oh, God.
He's got like an Einstein thing that's like maybe Einstein ? And then it's Robert Frost below. And I'm like, what is he fucking teaching? There's multiple things around his classroom that's like, at first you're like, yeah, it's science. But then if you start to look closer, you're like, is it fucking science? What is he teaching?
He's definitely like the coach who got the emergency teaching certificate.
100.
For the record, I just looked it up. He's definitely a science teacher.
I know that's what they were trying to do, yes.
Yeah, I think they just put him in a random classroom.
Me too, yeah.
I think they failed, but I do think that's what they tried.
I think all of his students would have also failed, yes.
Yeah.
Is John Leguizamo is the worst father in the world in this film?
Controversial take. I disagree, but only because...
Ooh, really?
I mean, he could have just stayed inside, but that means being like, hey, let your wife die. But I'm like, she would have probably died anyway. So like,
she was already dead and he killed himself.
Yeah, she was
and
already
left his
dead.
daughter alone in the world.
And he knew up there was bad. And he's like, you know what I'm going to do?
He left his daughter with the dumbest people he knows too.
Yeah, I'm going to abandon my daughter and go where I know the gas is. And I think that's a bad decision. And I'm going to go ahead and say that. That's a weird decision.
Yeah. Just sit in the car. It literally lasted for a day.
Well, he had the cut, yeah.
I know he did. But like, he could have gotten into the station wagon with them.
Yes.
And they could have all just stayed in the fucking car.
Yeah.
Because in that station wagon was the guy who's like, I bet it's an airborne plant thing. And I have a ton of plants. So like, we could go to my house. Jesus Christ. They're idiots.
This is why kids like moms more. Because I guarantee if that was a mom, she'd be like, I'm getting the station wagon. We're going to keep this kid safe. Not like, I'm going to go find your father who went up to fucking Princeton or whatever.
Yeah.
He is the worst father making the worst decision he could ever make in that moment. Yeah.
Everyone in this movie makes the worst decision. No no one makes a logical decision the entire film.
He also, like, I think John Leguizamo had to get killed off, or the lie that Zooey Deschanel tells Marky Mark would have gotten revealed.
Oh, you think so? About the we only had tiramisu.
Man, I loved when her emotional affair partner at least called her on the phone from Boston, was like, it's here too. And then he comes to see her on the train, and she's like, they've taken Boston or whatever. And he's like, how'd you know that? And she's all, I told you he was just a friend from work. Like, she like gaslights him in that. I was like, that's insane.
The affair subplot is hilarious because it's also like emotional affair. Yes, absolutely. But like nothing happened. And we know that because she screams at the guy that she's having an affair with on the phone. We just had tiramisu, which is the craziest thing to yell on a train.
It's too New Girl. It's too much New Girl in this film.
It is.
It's too much New Girl. We needed a Jake Johnson to come in and be rational. But like, then later she's like, we had dessert. I'm sorry. And I was like, what? I liked when he was like, hey, I looked at a pharmacist, and then I didn't do anything about it. We even? I was like, yes.
I mean, this is truly a apocalyptic moment where the whole Northeast is dying. And I would have been like, I don't give a fuck right now what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't care. We just need to be alive.
We just got a kid abandoned upon us because her dad's fucking terrible. Like, I need you to get your shit together and don't fucking talk to me.
I just think that John Leguizamo wouldn't have been all, don't take her hand if you don't mean it or whatever.
Hilarious.
If it was just dessert. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think it was that. I think he felt like she wasn't invested in their marriage in general over time.
Who would be?
Sorry, pollen's really bad here. I'm gonna, it's coming.
Yeah, Paige, literally my voice is also pretty much gone because of pollen. Yeah. I'm not saying that they planned this, but the plants are definitely in on it.
It's the trees.
It's the bees. We should have taken them all out.
I love the bees. I want to get a hive in my backyard at some point.
My nose started bleeding 2 days ago, like down my throat, just sinus, and I'm just like, oh, I hate the world. I need to move out west. I feel like Doc Holliday.
I mean, we still have allergies here, by the way, in case you haven't been hearing me.
Paige is also suffering.
California's too far. Just a desert. I need a desert.
Okay. Well, Vegas?
Yes. Yes. Come see me at my residency show. Butt Cheeks is the name of the show.
But it's B-U-T, Cheeks.
But
where
Cheeks.
Mikey plays a detective named Davis Cheeks.
Detective Cheeks.
It's a one-man show, and it's a detective true crime story that's not true.
Got it. That you make up as you go along.
It's a false true crime story.
Yes, it is improv every night to myself.
It's like that I Think You Should Leave sketch with the guy who does mimes, and people just show up to yell and be like, what are you doing? And every time he says a word to them, he has to pay them $1.
I like that sketch.
That's one of my favorites.
I also will be a topless dancer on the weekend.
Well, you got to pay the bills somehow. You got to find a way to pay for the art create, Mikey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But turns out that topless dancer is Mikey with pasties.
Pastries.
Oh, I misread the sign, but this is way more delicious.
Croissants over your nipples.
It's a Danish.
I did love the first time we see someone shoot themselves in the head. Well, we don't see it, I guess. But he falls to the ground, having shot himself in the front of his head. Like, that is not... I literally wrote in my notes, there are like 1 million police cases that have been ruled suicide this way.
Yes.
And all of them are actual murders. Like that.
100.
Like, there's no way you...
He shot himself right in the back, here.
Yeah, he shot himself right in the front of his head or whatever.
It's either the front or the back. It's unclear. And then
I think he shot his front, but...
Yeah, but even then, like, I could not... My arms are not long enough to do that. But then the next guy that falls, it's far enough over to the side where you would assume that he just
That's somewhat plausible, yeah.
Right, exactly.
But we're not going to call this suicide, right? This is like plant-induced murder.
Yeah.
That's probably more accurate because they don't have control.
It's leafing this mortal coil.
Yes.
I don't have to have a serious conversation or a trigger warning or anything like that, right? Because the plants are murdering them.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like you should anyway, like, trigger warning for this movie where if you are triggered by images of suicide, it happens a ton in this movie because the movie thinks that will shock and scare you. It's a very cheap tactic the movie uses in a not very well-conceived film because the explanation for it is nonsense.
Oh, no, it's terrible.
This would be a better film if, like, half the population went like 28 days later because the plants released a chemical.
100.
Well, we do sort of see those two kids like in the middle half of the movie that just like glom onto Marky Mark and New Girl.
Oh, yeah.
We heard you could punch a plane to safety. Yeah.
That's my favorite scene when they introduce two children and then shoot them in the head
and then
immediately.
shoot them in the fucking head.
I know, but like they do that to like show that like, which I think a lot of zombie movies do, show you that like now people are the scary thing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but then they never follow through on it. It was like that guy's crazy, and then they meet the next lady, and she's unpleasant, but like she's not dangerous. She's just unpleasant. She's more of a Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
I would say she's dangerous, but not very dangerous.
Right.
She did slap that little girl for getting that cookie.
Hard, too.
Yeah. She should learn to keep her hands to herself.
That old lady, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the most touching scene when that little girl was like, my real mom and dad would have said something.
Yeah, right?
This movie's fucking terrible.
Mikey, is it terrible or is it a promo film for Mikey's new dating service where he gets his wife to fall back in love with him through creating a traumatic scenario that she has to go through?
Oh.
I'm not sure most of those people are dead, or is it just like news stories she heard about?
For me, I could do cheesecake, but tiramisu is too far.
How dare she?
I assume that was a euphemism for like, he tore me a snoo one. You know what I'm saying?
Tiramisu, that's a sexual dessert.
Is it, Mikey?
I don't like tiramisu because it's coffee and I'm not a coffee person, but
Same page.
I would agree with you that I think it was a euphemism if she had not shouted it at the guy who did it.
Oh, yeah, no, I think you're right.
Because unless she was like, here's our story that we're getting it straight. But no, she's like, we only had tiramisu, stop calling me.
We've all been there, Mikey, right?
Yeah, I think they just had dessert and this movie just doesn't understand humans.
That actually
That's the
checks out
truth.
for an M. Night Shyamalan movie, yeah.
Was this movie maybe written by a tree?
Because it's not rooted in reality.
Exactly, Mikey.
Wow.
Nice.
Love it. You're all grounded.
Makes me want to be chloroformed
Chloroform.
instead of chlorophylled with joy. I don't have a lot of tree puns.
In my brain, I'm just like, say something about photosynthesis. I'm like, I can't pun photosynthesis. I already had my great leaf pun a few minutes ago. I'm tapped out.
Somebody along the way, some producer knew this was shit because why would you cast Mark Wahlberg? Like they knew. Someone knew what he was doing. He's like, this is fucking dumb.
He was a star, though. Like,
Well, he's not a bad actor. He's not a great actor. Like, this is his lane.
that's what I was saying before. Like, I feel like I've never seen him this bad.
No.
And I would consider him like a middling. Like, he's fine. He's not awesome.
Yeah, he's fine.
But like, I've never seen him bad.
Yeah.
And he's bad in this.
He's not even angry in this.
No, he's just confused the whole time in full Boston accent because they're in the Northeast.
He's just 100% the say hello to your mother for me, like meme in this whole movie.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
And he tries to sing at one point and is so awful, it's like discordant and unpleasant to listen to. And I was like, he was a recording artist.
I think you're right. And I think we can all agree that if people behaved like this and we were plants, we would murder them too.
Oh, if I was a plant and I saw this movie, I'd be like, sounds like a good idea. What kind of plant would you be?
Big fucking tree, bro. Like a big oak tree.
I would definitely be a weeping willow.
That makes me sad for everyone.
I think the obvious answer for me is melons.
Nice.
Maybe we should just go through this movie scene by scene.
Yes. Join us so your brain can also be smooth. We open in Central Park with two women sitting on a bench.
Paige, we don't open on a bench in Central Park. We open on Sky, and then we have 3 minutes and 20 seconds
yes.
of credits.
Credits.
They credit on the screen by themselves the costume designer before we see a costume.
Yep.
I was like, what is happening right now? I do feel like maybe, because M. Night had some success before this, where they just like let him do whatever, I guess?
Not recently, not close to this. He had a couple bombs leading up to this.
Man.
And this was like the nail in the coffin.
This was the nail in the coffin.
I like a lot of his stuff, but like this one's real bad.
Yeah.
Like in an unexplainable way. If this was your first movie, I'd be like, man, when that kid's graduate college, he'll be great, you know?
Right. It was a great first try.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after all of the many, many minutes of credits in the sky, We open on Central Park. Two ladies are on a bench. One is they're both reading books, but one of them keeps losing her page. So this is the first time we see the confusion of what page was I on? What page was I on? And then the wind blows, everyone in the park stops. And then that lady pulls out a hair doodad and stabs herself in the neck. Which, the amount of hair products that, are neck stabbable, not very many. They're usually plastic.
I mean, the one she had looked like it was as sharp as a chopstick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is to say, not at all.
Yeah, and she still shoves it into her jugular.
Exactly. It would have taken an immense amount of strength to pierce skin at all. And she shoves it through her jugular into her esophagus.
Yeah.
And it's a big-ass hair thing.
Yeah. But, again, most hair things are about as sharp as chopsticks because they don't need to be that sharp.
Yeah, you're not sword fighting your hair when you're putting your hair up. Paige, we get it. We get it, Paige.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Those were for white people dreads. That was a white people dreads bun thing.
Controversial, but possibly accurate take, Mikey.
Controversial statement since this is one of my last times.
Mikey's just putting all of his beliefs out here on the last couple episodes.
Yeah, if you're a white person with dreads, I don't like you, and you should really think your life.
Finally, the truth comes out. Cut to me only wearing dreads.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Single tear.
I do find white people wearing protective styles when they do not need to culturally appropriative, but also most white people's hair is not designed to do that.
No.
And it's real bad for your hair if you're white. People lose chunks of hair that way.
Look, I know there's some of you out here listening, and I appreciate you as a person, but your hair looks bad, and I feel bad for you. It's not for you, and you just gotta let it go.
Let it go. That's okay. Not everything is for us.
Paige will take all emails post this episode.
No, fuck you! Stop! I was gonna have a relaxing couple of months for the first time this year.
No, I'm just gonna post wild shit in different Facebook groups.
Good Lord. Anyway, she stabs herself.
Oh, I have a movie-related question.
Okay.
That's not a joke.
All right.
So that one girl does not seem affected by the gas. So it seems to have a 99% effective rate, but a 1%'s immune. It shows in France too, right?
Yeah, because that one guy.
Yeah.
This is what I was waiting for in the movie is that where are the people that survived it that are just not affected by it, much like the zombie virus? Yes.
Guys, they're saving that for the sequel, The Hopening.
The opening, it happened.
Like a Night of the Comic post-apocalyptic future. That's what I want. This should only be 15 minutes of the first part of the movie.
You know what I'd say? I want to see that, M. Night. I realize this movie might be your worst, but I'd take a sequel. But we got to make M. Night do it.
Yeah.
As penance for this.
As payback. That, honestly, if I was a director and I released what is possibly seen as my worst film,
sure,
I would try and do a sequel just so I could fucking nail it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, this is not his worst film.
What do you think his worst film is, Mikey?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that one either because I heard it was trash. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I thought you were going to say Sixth Sense.
No. And have you guys done Sixth Sense? You guys haven't done Sixth Sense?
No idea.
I think we have.
Probably.
I don't know. I know I wasn't on a Sixth Sense episode.
I think it was before I was on it.
No.
I was on there. Or Unbreakable?
Unbreakable, I think, is his best.
I think so, too. I even like The Village. I'll go a little further.
I'll do a little Village, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've done Sixth Sense.
Wow.
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
That is wild. All right. I'll put it in my list of movies to dangle in front of guests. Anyway, some people seem unaffected. It's the most interesting part of the movie. The movie doesn't explore it at all. Next, we go to a construction site where construction workers are talking, and then a guy seemingly falls off this tall building they're working on.
Yeah.
They think it's an isolated incident. I do have a note that they call, they go to dial 911 and they just say, medic, can you get here? They don't give an address.
It's a walkie-talkie page.
He's on a walkie-talkie for his job site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he just calls the job foreman person.
I like this scene in a morbidly funny way because it was his friends. He's like, Nick fell.
Yeah.
Nick had an accident. Nick's dead. They start crying. And then people just start falling all around them. And I'm like, and they're like, Bob, Doug. And I was like, oh, no.
Jackson. Yeah.
Honestly, this is the one actually scary scene in this movie, I think.
I agree, though, Paige. You're right.
Because imagine and he's another guy that seems to live through this and is unaffected.
Right.
But imagine watching that happen. That'd be fucking terrifying. And people falling are going to hit people on their way down. This is the one scary part of the movie. I feel like they planned out these first two scenes and are like, how do we write a movie around this? and that's what we got.
Yeah, I think 100% he thought up like 4 scary scenes and then wrote a whole movie with like barely connective. I mean, the connective tissue is wind.
Yeah.
So
wind.
Which is why this movie feels like it's like $20.
It's just a lot of people running around parks, for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Although, I'll say this, like if I saw what that guy saw, when he looks up and all of his friends and colleagues are like jumping off the fucking building that he's working at, like these are all his coworkers, I'd have been like, somebody's getting a promotion.
Oh, no. Todd Petty, no.
Listen, there are some benefits to surviving an almost apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, you could just like take a house.
Yes.
At that point.
Yes.
So many houses. Central Park.
In fact, I think that's what happens at the end of this movie because they suddenly have a really nice brownstone. And I think they're just like, yeah, this is ours now.
Yeah, we live here because everyone died.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's dead. So I took this place. And who would want to live up there? I'd be like, everybody died up there. I'm not going to live up there. What about the ghosts?
When we get to the end, we need to talk about, because it's the same problem as 28 weeks later, where they're like, 6 weeks from now, we're moving people back on the island. And this is like 3 months from now, schools are open. I was like, they ain't fucking open. We closed schools for COVID for like 2 years. Like,
Paige, and they're so safe that she is like trying for a baby.
Yeah.
Like you don't think that like if that had happened 3 months ago, you'd be like, you know what? Let's just give it a beat before we try and bring anything else into this world that I have to take care of.
Yeah.
Because like you're thinking differently at that point.
Yes.
No, it's just because he knows her favorite dessert. Pound cake.
I guess his favorite dessert's a cream pie.
Yeah, that's what I was going for next.
I mean, I will say, like most of my friends had pandemic babies. Like we were an outlier in not having a pandemic baby. But I think that's more because we were all trapped inside for 2 years together.
Exactly.
That must have been nice for y'all.
Mikey, did you have a pandemic baby?
Not that I've been told so far.
I don't have one either.
Yet, not that you know of. Someday. 18 years from now.
I worked a lot. I was like a workaholic.
Yeah.
That's me all the time.
And then we doubled our podcasting output.
Yeah, we did.
We did, yeah.
That's our baby. Romancing the Pod was our pandemic baby.
I was in Denver this morning.
It motivated me to buy a house because I was like, I'm not doing this again in a condo. I was like, I feel fucking trapped.
That's part of why we bought a house, because we're like, we don't have a backyard, we don't have anything, we can't go outside, and it was maddening because we were in a 1-bedroom, just like
Natalie and I were in a 1-bedroom too. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Natalie and I were in a 1-bedroom with 7 animals. I was like, we have to get a house.
Yeah.
Big boxcar children over there.
It was great. I kind of like, there was a lot of that time I loved, because it was like all the animals were on top of you all the time and I loved it. It was great. The kitties spread out in the house.
Yeah, that's true. Cats do kind of find their own place.
But they need space. Like that's one of the reasons behind getting the house. Like all the cats needed space. The dogs needed a backyard. Like, how are we going to die from the wind if we're not close to plants,
Yeah.
We had to buy a house.
I don't understand how it got New York too much.
Really just Central Park. It should have been like a few blocks off Central Park and then that was it,
Yeah.
So it's like all those really affluent areas right there by Central Park get fucking decimated and then like the poor people like run in and take all their shit.
Well, I mean, Central Park is like huge, so there's poor and rich people around it. But
Sure,
I will
yeah.
say, I think the thing that kills most people is because they get told to evacuate, which means that they go outside. Because if they had all just stayed in their apartments, they'd be fucking fine. Just close the windows.
Especially if they're like downtown. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how much green space there isn't all over New York City. Like if you were downtown Nashville and this happened, you'd be fucking fine. Like it's a parking lot, like there's no plants anywhere.
If you were anywhere in Los Angeles and just stayed in your car or your apartment, you'd be fine. That's why this movie has to take place on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Because if they went here, they'd be like, you're fine.
Yeah, because especially when they get to the field, they're like, 20 yards that way is the gas.
Yeah.
20 yards this way, we're fine.
And they can't even see it. It was so stupid.
Okay, but guys, what is posited in that scene is so absolutely bug fuck bonkers that like the reason it
Like
went
it's
off.
landmines.
Yes, but it's like capacity landmines.
Yeah.
So they were walking through a field, which is like a nebulous term for what we're seeing. Like there
Yeah.
aren't hedgerows separating where they are. They're literally over like a little like hill.
Yeah.
Maybe. So like my question ultimately, as insane as it is, does each field have a brain? And does that brain make the decision to go off? And like, how does any of that fucking work?
I don't think anyone thought through this.
This is insane.
So I'm going to tell you what a great man once told me. you'll never understand an act of nature. That was my science teacher, Mark Wahlberg.
Marky Mark, my science teacher.
He said, we will never understand how the bees died or the grass gas comes out.
We're about to get to that scene, but he is very much like, hey, tell me how you think the bees disappeared. And people are like giving him plausible answers. And he's like, nah, you fucking dummy. Let's ask this kid. Nah, he's a fucking dummy. And then he's just like roasting his students on some level. It's wild.
No, that last kid, he just fucking bullies. He's like, your fucking ugly ass nose is going to grow out further. You think you're too good for science?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
It's wild.
Because one, he tells the class that he finds that kid attractive, which is a wild start to an insult.
It's a really weird thing to say.
You think with your perfect ears and nose that you're going to be attractive forever? And I was like, Mark, no.
Let's just get into that scene because we open on his class and he's just like, hey, class, where are the bees gone? And again, he gets plausible answers where people are like, global warming. And he's like, yeah, the temperature goes up a degree, they move. Yeah, of course. And it's like, how about a virus? He's like, yeah, but it's only contained to these areas. I was like, yeah, you know the way a virus spreads. Like everything somebody says is normal. And then he's like, yo, hottie, what you think about the bees? And after bullying that kid and telling him he's not going to grow up to be pretty.
He full on negs his students.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to be pretty forever as him.
Yeah.
It's a weird cold open to this week's SNL episode is what it is.
It's real weird.
It's very weird.
Then that kid is just like, it's nature. We'll never fully understand it. And he's like, exactly, science.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
It's like literally him saying that sometimes this thing I dedicated my life to teaching people, not accurate.
Not accurate, not teachable. Who knows?
Which is like the opposite of what science is. Science openly admits that like it doesn't know everything, but
science is a mystery. We don't even know how to figure out how the bees went. Good job, hottie.
We don't even know how science works. It's a mystery. That's like his vibe.
Yeah, fucking magnets. How do they work? You know,
man.
like real ICP type shit.
It is.
It's nuts. But as they're having this conversation, the vice principal comes in and he does this weird like, oh no, I gotta hide from the dark evil crone and turns the lights off. And I was like, bro, you're gonna get fired. Like, what is going on? She pulls him aside.
And she's like, it's 9/11 again.
Yeah, basically like, hey, a second gust of wind has hit the Central Park. Like, it's just madness. And she pulls him past classrooms that don't have teachers where kids are like watching stuff on their phone, which is how it would happen today.
For
people
sure.
would find it on their phones.
Yeah. Or they're getting texts or whatever, you know.
Right. And pulls him into a room with all the teachers and they're all just like, what's happening? And Connor Roy gets up and is like, terrorism. And then we never see him again.
Love that he and his next youngest brother is in this. Yeah.
Well, that's like, I texted you guys yesterday. I was like, the amount of Succession cast members in a movie this bad is baffling.
Right?
Like that most of these people would go on to be on one of the best TV shows ever. And they're just like, the wind. It's crazy.
I mean, the career trajectory they went on over those 10 years between this and that show starting.
Yeah. Perfect. And so they go back to their classrooms to basically release their kids to go home.
Yeah.
And this is where we see the quote that says, without the bees, we have like 4 years left. And they're like, maybe this was Einstein. And then below it, Robert Frost for no reason. But he runs into John Leguizamo in the hallway, who is the math teacher.
Yeah. He actually saw him in the group meeting with the other teachers.
So John Leguizamo was like, I'm going to go get my wife and kid and we're going to leave the area. And he's like, do you and Alma want to come with us? Alma is Marky Mark's wife.
But like John Leguizamo knows some like real bad shit about his wife. It never gets explained. And the only reason I say it's real bad shit is because if it is just dessert, like he's way overreacting.
I don't think it's related to this incident. I think there's something else.
Okay.
Because we do find out from him later, and literally like in this scene, that on their wedding day accidentally walked in on her before the wedding and she was crying because she didn't want to get married and then got married anyway. But we also don't know what happened with that or why. He doesn't know what happened with that or why. I think he just doesn't like her. But then she's a crazy character.
Yes, she is.
I think what M. Night was trying to do was to portray someone who is maybe not neurotypical and does not display their emotions externally readily, but instead he writes her like a mannequin because she has no emotion for anything, not just like, hey, I'm uncomfortable maybe sharing or delving into this. Like, it's literally like she reads her lines off a cue card because she did not know them. It's baffling.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who has so much riz. Like, it's Zooey Deschanel. People have created whole shows around her and her fun personality, and it is completely absent in this film.
I wonder if it's just like, this genre's not for her. Like, I love when she does comedy stuff. Like, she's so good at it. And her show, The New Girl, was amazing.
She's so stiff in it.
I know, right?
If it feels like it got her last minute.
Something, and she didn't know her lines.
But M. Night, I don't feel is great at directing women.
You know, I was trying to think about that because I feel like he's done okay in other movies.
Just The Village with what's her face?
But that's also Toni Collette. So maybe it's because it was Toni Collette.
Toni Collette's amazing, yeah.
And she's amazing.
Or they picked Zoe up last minute and she really is just reading cue cards because she like, put me in, coach, I'm in town.
I guess. I have no idea. Anyway, so John Leguizamo immediately is like, oh, you guys fought and are you breaking up? And Marky Mark's like, no, we're just talking. Don't worry about that. So he tries to call her. She doesn't answer. He goes home, or we cut to her at home.
Yeah.
And her phone is ringing. And initially we think it's him because it says Joey and she's not answering it. And I was like, is his name Joey? I don't remember.
That's the exact same time I looked up what his name was, and it was not Joey. Yeah.
It was not Joey. Joey is someone else. Marky Mark gets home and they find out via the news that they're evacuating the entire city because whatever the airborne toxin is, it turns off the self-preservation switch in your brain, which causes you to die by suicide. However,
there's some loose movie logic there.
Yeah. Very nebulous brain logic. But then also they're like, it's airborne, evacuate instead of just like
hunker
close
down.
your windows and hunker down.
Yeah.
Makes no sense at all.
It also has to do more than just turn off your self-preservation, because I refuse to believe that all of those people were like, I guess, to the point where they were okay to end their life by suicide without that self-preservation. Like,
self-preservation means like taking risks, like undue risks, not like I'm going to just shove this glass into my throat.
If you said self-preservation and then we got the crazies, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Because then it's people acting in ways that they wouldn't normally act. Because it is a jump to be like self-preservation is turned off to self-annihilation. Like there's a gap between that the movie does not understand. It's just like immediately after the switch is turned off, people just kill themselves. And I think it's because this movie thinks that's creepy and scary and is trying to like loosely tie scary scenes of mass suicide together.
I mean, that is what it is trying to do, yes. It is failing to do that in a way that I think is a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is not. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I get why the listeners would want this to be your last episode.
It's bonkers.
But this isn't as fun as like a Mikey movie, you know?
No.
Well, we're about to get to some weird fun shit.
Oh, for sure.
The longer we get into this movie.
No. And this isn't my last episode. This is my episode continuously.
Well, your last is a host.
Yeah.
I'll pick some. If you guys want me to pick a bonkers movie every month and come back and do a fucking crazy ass movie,
would love that.
Absolutely.
Yes. But like, also don't commit to something you can't do, because then listeners will like,
oh, that's true.
Yeah, but like figure out schedule wise, but absolutely, yes.
Well, I was gonna do that, but your fucking dreadlocks has made me
back
out.
Why?
For the record, I have not dreaded any lock.
I was talking to listeners.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Anyway, we cut to the train station. They miraculously got there without having to go outside.
Of course, Paige.
Yeah, and they meet up with John Leguizamo and his daughter, and he's like, Yvette, his wife, is stuck. She's going to take the next train.
But Paige, it doesn't matter if they go outside, because the stuff is not where they are yet.
That we know of, because we don't fully know where exactly it is.
I mean, that is fair, because it's not just like one strong gust of wind. We find out later that fields can just like go off for no reason.
They should have never tried to explain any of it and just had it be scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think they would have had to have revealed that it was like being carried on the wind or whatever. We're not sure.
They could have just been like, we think it's airborne. It makes people hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
But then stay inside. Stay inside.
Stay inside is the right call. You're right.
Abandon your child to Mark.
We're about to get there. So Yvette's not going to make it. And Alma is there and is like, hey, John Leguizamo. And he's just like, hey. And she's like, he knows we fought. And then immediately is like, I'm going to sit separately and think about things on the train. And you're like, what is happening? She's like, I'm going to get on the train, but we're not going to sit together. And you're like, All right.
What you're seeing is an avoidant, dismissive person trying to create space in a relationship because they're uncomfortable with their emotions.
Sure, but also no one started shit.
No, they started. That's what I would do. Like, I would start shit just so I could get away and, like, you know, it was terrible. A lot of therapy, but like...
It's not good.
No, it was terrible. Yeah. Had to stop that, clearly.
Yeah.
But a lot of therapy helps.
Yeah.
But she is like picking a fight
Yes.
to create that space. That was my point.
Yes.
Because like it is a weird overreaction.
We cut to them on the train. They're all sitting together except for her. She's sitting alone. So we cut from them on the train to a park in Philadelphia where this is the chain of gunshots where the first guy shoots himself somehow in the middle of the head, which is, I mean, if you have longer arms, I guess.
I think he got sniped.
And then there's like a chain, yes, and it's the wind. We cut back to the train, and this is where we cut to her conversation of just like, we ate tiramisu together. That is it.
Which she is saying without anyone else around. It is just her talking to Josh.
Joey.
So I honestly do believe that that's as far as this emotional affair has gone.
Yes, but it doesn't mean it's the only one. But we don't know because the movie doesn't tell us.
I mean, by the end of this movie, all of her romantic options have been killed off except for Marky Mark.
Yeah, pretty much.
So she, you know, decides to baby trap him or whatever.
Ooh, dark.
I think he was down with it. He didn't care.
Oh, I think he wanted a child. Yeah.
I think this is what he wanted the whole time.
Yeah, me
yes.
too. I agree. Yeah.
But they find out that it's spread to Philadelphia and Boston from people calling on the plane. And we find out that Yvette is on a bus to Princeton to try and meet up with them. But this is also where she's like, it's in Boston. They're like, how do you know? And she's like, I told you he was just a friend. And you're like,
yeah.
What?
You're like, calm down, Bismarcky. I didn't even ask.
You got on the train.
Watch out for trees. They blowing poison shit.
You're gonna breathe in all of it. Oh, baby, you got plastic feet. Anyway, all of a sudden the train stops and they all get outside to where the stuff is. And the conductors are all in like a circle. And Marky Mark is just like, what's happening? Why the train not going? Please take me on the train. And they're just like, we can't get in contact with anybody, which seems ridiculous since one would assume the people that they're trying to contact are like in an office where they are probably not exposed to this.
The fact that like cell phones stop working and like some places lose power, I thought was insane.
Right.
I was like, there's so many redundancies in all of those systems that like they'd probably run for weeks after everyone at that office died.
Yeah, well, and we do reveal that this only happened for a day. This is a day-long apocalypse.
I think it's like 18 hours, right?
It's 25 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they all end up at a diner because the train not gonna go no more. And this is where he introduces the mood ring to the little girl, Jess.
We see him put it on his finger as he like gets like packing when they leave initially.
And he's like, oh, the color yellow, that means extreme anxiety and fear of death.
I do like that he's like, it means you're going to laugh any minute now. And then she doesn't. And he barks at her and she's like, and he's like, I told you. And you're like, okay. Meanwhile, at the diner, they see a video on somebody's phone of a guy just letting lions rip him apart. And it's supposed to be scary, but boy, is it hilarious.
Man, when that first arm and it cuts back and it shows you like an arm was ripped off or whatever, and then the other lion grabs another.
It looks so fake.
I literally said to myself, he'll never financially recover from this.
He'll never financially recover from this.
And then that whole scene just became funny to me because it was like I was seeing the Tiger King in there do that. And I was like, it's funny.
I like that he was in there with 7 lions before it became dangerous, and then waving his arms at him is when it became dangerous.
Anyway, the power goes out and they're like, if we stay in this diner, we die. And I'm like, no, literally the opposite. Stay in the diner maximum overdrive style and you're fine.
Exactly. It's so funny to me because it's like the power goes out and then immediately that dude stands up and goes, if we stay in here, we'll die.
Yeah. It's like the lady just, we made you! Like that level of insanity.
It just felt like a church production of like a morality tale that like is set at the post-apocalypse. Like it's that level of acting and it's weird to see in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like this guy made Signs.
super weird. Because literally they're like, it's not happening 90 miles from here. So they all run out of the diner into the place where it's happening.
Like a race just started, Paige.
Yeah.
Like nobody pays their check. Everyone's off their ass, running to their cars.
Well, and the cars are driving away. Everyone's trying to get in cars. And like, they finally flag down a station wagon with the plant man that we will get more about him in just a second. And then John Leguizamo flags down a Jeep. And he's like, I'm going to go in the Jeep to get my wife. Please take my daughter. He should have just gotten in the station wagon. But anyway.
I mean, yeah, but this is where Johnny Legs, like, just makes up a stat. Like, there's like a 62% chance she's still alive, which is fully a made-up stat. He just makes up a stat.
Oh, yeah. He makes up probabilities this entire movie. And he's just like, yeah, because I'm a math. I was like, do you count cards too? Like, what is your real job?
So wild.
But he just made that up, right? Like,
Yeah.
What is he basing that on?
I don't know. Well, and then this is also the like, don't take her hand unless you mean it. And like she does, you know, they save that kid.
I mean, they do save that kid, and it shows later on that like that kid is still like in their house and like they take care of him. Yeah, like I do feel like the whole movie, the kid calls her Aunt New Girl or whatever her name is in the movie. I can't remember.
What is her name?
Alma.
Elmo.
Alma.
It's me, Zoe Deschanel. Elmo.
Wait, what? Elmo? No, it's Zoe Deschanel.
Alma.
Yeah, like Alma the Younger. Anyway.
Elmo. Tickle me.
So he goes off into the Jeep. They go in the station wagon. And in the station wagon, this guy's like, hey, we own a nursery. We're going to go grab some stuff and then we'll get on the road. We do see behind their house is a giant nuclear power plant.
Yes. Which that is like a red herring, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Or is it what is actually happening and they're just way wrong in this movie? Because we get zero confirmation.
We get zero confirmation.
No.
It could be either.
The guys in there are probably okay because that's probably sealed off.
Probably. They take him into the greenhouse and he's like, I think it's the plants releasing chemicals. You guys like hot dogs? I love hot dogs. And then he does like a 2-minute speech on the merits of hot dogs. And I was like, preaching to the choir, sir. You don't need to convince me to eat a cased meat. I'm already on board.
Yeah. I do love that, like, his wife comes running back in with, like, a big, like, ice box
like
or, like,
cooler.
igloo cooler.
Yeah.
And he's like, did you get the mustard? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, these guys like hot dogs more than regular people like hot dogs. Like, I get everyone likes hot dogs, but.
This was a big hot dog paid for this movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They're like, it's definitely the plants in the air, not the meats. Like,
I'm not saying Oscar Mayer wrote this movie, but, like, checks out.
yeah, it does. Anyway, as they're handling their hot dog situation, we cut to the Jeep where they're driving and all of a sudden they see a bunch of landscapers hanging from trees.
Yeah.
Where they have like climbed up to hang themselves.
They've climbed up their own ladders. It's creepy.
Yeah,
it is
a
really
very creepy scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so he's trying to distract the people in the Jeep with a math problem that I don't have time to verify if he's right. And they close the vents, they close the windows, but it's a fucking soft top because who the fuck buys a soft top? And there's a hole in the soft top.
Jeep owners. Yeah.
I have a soft top.
We told you not to buy the soft top, Mikey.
Look, if the plants are trying to kill everybody, fucking like, whatever.
Anyway, he realizes that they're going to get infected because there is a hole in the top of the Jeep. The driver of the Jeep crashes that Jeep into a tree. 2 people fly out of the windshield, and John Leguizamo gets out because he has survived and uses glass from the windshield to cut his wrists, which, by the way, would not be very possible because of safety glass, but okay.
Let's talk about this. They went into this place knowing it was a victim in a soft top. They made that choice.
They did, yes.
That's true.
I would never take my car, a soft top, and be like, you know, we should take this in a place where there is a airborne pathogen.
Yeah.
Quick, somebody stabbed the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody should just put their N95s on and just walk around.
Well, that's the 2 ladies with the gas masks.
I know, right? They're the best.
Paige, I will say this. If it's February, at the end of the month, you'll only have $1.3 million.
Okay.
But if you have 31 days, it's like $10.7 million.
Okay.
So it is accurate depending upon the month.
Depending on the month. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. So the station wagon crew decides to go to the next town over, and as they're driving, they see something in the road, which are clearly dead bodies, but he gets out of the car to inspect it.
Yeah.
And I was like, get back in the fucking car. But I do like that she's like, we've got your binoculars from when you spied on the neighbors. But like, you could use binoculars from inside the car. We've all seen Jurassic Park. But no, he gets out of the car to look at it. And then they're like, we got to get back in the car. Those are bodies. They drive back the way they came, where they run into an army Jeep carrying Kendall Roy, who's like, the base was affected. There were soldiers in the barbed wire, which means the people who were forced to kill themselves by the trees ended up in the barbed wire. And he was like, okay, so that's 2 directions down. It's in 2 different directions. While this is happening, Joey calls and she won't pick it up. And they can't get John Leguizamo on the phone. Spoiler, they're not going to be able to.
No.
And at one point, Marky Mark just goes, why did it start in PAHKs? Did it start in Harvard Yard? Did he park the car in Harvard Yard? It's just a crazy thing to say.
It was very funny.
And like, there's no audience surrogate in this film because like somebody needs to be like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Like, we are dealing with this situation.
Well, and so they find out that in literally all directions on the road, it has killed people, which part of me is like, great, stay in your car and keep driving. Like, what are we doing? But they all instead get out of the cars to stand around and take a phone call from this woman's daughter at Princeton who was inside and fine and then at some point went outside or opened a door or something and died by suicide.
Yeah.
And it's sad and scary, but then they all get back in the car and like Marky Mark ends up crying on the side of the road. He's like, okay, we got to make a plan. Maybe it's plants. Let's go to the plant place. Let's go to the place with the fewest amount of people because there's no population there and it's hit big population centers first.
Yeah.
And then they all decide to walk through the outside where the airborne pathogens are.
Hell yeah.
To wherever this next place is.
They are thinking it's terrorists way too long into this, you know? Like,
yeah.
The fact that they're still thinking it's terrorists when it's hitting like podunk little towns, like the amount of like scale it would take to pull that off.
Yeah.
It just makes it like that's definitely not what it is, you know? So I couldn't believe that they were like, no, it's terrorists. We just got to stay off the roads and out of big cities.
No.
But, you know, I also lived through COVID, so there are a lot of dumb people out there.
It's very true.
Well, and I'm like, hey, time to off-road in your vehicles or drive wherever. Like, you're in cars.
Yeah.
Like, where you can't breathe air. Like,
in my heart of hearts, I believe, because COVID was serious, but not like bleeding out of your eyes serious.
right.
It wasn't as serious as this is
Right.
in the movie.
I think
yeah.
if COVID killed kids or like gave you like really horrific symptoms instead of just like the flu.
I mean, for some people it did, but it,
Yeah,
you
For
know,
some people, it killed them.
yeah.
I think it hit that sweet spot on like Plague Inc. where it's like not too like it got the spread and not the like the seriousness was, you know what I'm talking about? If he goes too deadly, it won't spread enough. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what game you're talking about. Yeah, Plague Inc. is one of my favorite mobile games.
But in this situation where like everyone is dying, I think people would shut the fuck up and stay still.
Yes,
Yeah.
same.
But I have been proven wrong by humanity before.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, they start walking out in the open, unprotected, and they start to break into smaller groups because they think that'll do it, that will stop it from triggering like a landmine. But as they move across this field, the group we're following is smaller. They're out front. Then we've got Kendall Roy in the middle, and then we've got a larger group behind. And as they're walking across the field, the wind passes over them.
So are the plants controlling the wind?
No, the plants are releasing the gas.
And the wind is carrying it.
So
but the
wait,
wind.
so are we watching like plant farts blow in their face? Are they like
Yes.
literally crop dusting people as they walk through the field?
Yeah, the crops
Literal
are crop dusting people.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my God. The Happening is a plant fart movie.
Yes.
I don't think M. Night knows where wind comes from.
Vegans. Bunch of fucking vegans.
Well, and that's the thing is like they do seem to be controlling the wind, even though that's not something plants do. But like as they're walking, she's trying to tell him about the tiramisu. And Kendall Roy stops in the middle and he's like, my firearm is my friend. It will not leave my side. And then, of course, unfortunately, shoots himself as the first group makes a run for it. And then over the hill, we just hear multiple shots as the rest of the group, unfortunately, dies by suicide.
We don't have to see it though.
Yeah, we don't have to see it. And she's like, I don't want to be the asshole who didn't do anything about it. It's like, girl, what could you do?
Well, and they're like yelling at Marky Mark, and he's like, I don't fucking know what to do.
No.
I'm a science/English teacher.
This is my favorite scene of the film because he's thinking.
Just give me a second, okay?
quote unquote thinking.
He's using his scientific mind as a
It's so
high school
stupid.
physical science teacher that he had to get a certificate for so he could continue teaching volleyball. Like,
Yes.
They could have made him a professor, first off, and this would have been a different film. But no, we're high school science.
do you think Marky Mark is believable as a professor, Mikey? I believed him as a assistant football coach who had to teach a subject, so they forced him to teach physical science. Like, I do think they were limited.
If he's a professor, we're going to need like an Oscar Isaac or something.
Oh, yeah. I would buy an Oscar Isaac.
When he is just like, give me a minute. And like, I would have ran away from the group killing themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
That's what you should do.
And 20 people are just sitting there like, what do we do, Marky Mark? And he's like, give me a second, I can't think.
How dark has your timeline gotten where you're asking Marky Mark like life-changing or altering decisions?
I mean, he does have good vibration.
Feel it.
I just put together that they were like rubbing this film in his face with hot dogs when they know that he owns a burger shop.
He didn't at the time. He was still just trying to get people to forget about that time that he beat a man basically to death.
Yeah.
Almost to death.
Hey, horror fans, ever felt like your online privacy was being pulled apart and reassembled by some mad scientist? Well, before you transform into a Brundlefly, let me introduce you to NordVPN, your digital transportation device. Just like the 80s classic The Fly, where science breaks down the boundaries of nature, NordVPN breaks down the boundaries of internet security, keeping your data safe from prying eyes. With encryption so powerful, it's like it's sealed in a pod. With NordVPN, you can change your virtual location faster than Seth can teleport a stocking across the room. This comes in handy for accessing streaming content from all over the globe or getting the best online shopping deals without any creepy surprises. NordVPN is lightning fast, so you don't have to worry about lagging when you're streaming your favorite horror flicks. Plus, it protects up to 6 devices at once, so whether you're on your laptop or your phone or your iPad or whatever, your privacy is locked down. Are you ready to make the leap? Use our exclusive link, which is NordVPN, that's NordVPN.com/horrorvirgin, and get a special deal. And listen, it's 3 to 4 months for free based upon which plan you sign up for. And again, if you want to get that awesome deal, go to NordVPN, that's NordVPN.com/horrorvirgin to get that sweet, sweet deal. And even better, it's totally risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't let hackers make a science experiment out of your personal data. Visit NordVPN.com/horrorvirgin and transform your internet experience today.
Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Anyway, they run and they've got 2 kids with them. So it's like the Marky Mark, Zooey Deschanel, Jess, the little girl, and then 2 like 12-year-old boys who have managed to get this far.
They're like 12 or 13. Like they're pretty young-ish.
Yeah.
But like they're here to pad the kill count. You sort of know that going into all of their scenes together.
Yeah.
Like I was not at all shocked when they die the way they die.
I mean, I was because it's kids, and usually people don't do that to kids in a movie, but anyway, so as they run across the field, find a truck with the door open and the alarm still going. And in the distance, they see a house.
Which, like, I thought it was nuts that he goes, oh, look, there's a truck. I wonder if there's a map in there. And I was like, Marky Mark, there's a truck in there. Get in the truck.
Get in the fucking truck.
Roll up the windows and drive to fucking, I don't know, Michigan or some shit. Like, get west.
Yeah. Well, and then not only is there a map in there at a time when cell phones and smartphones existed, but they don't get in the truck, and they inserted like the sound of flies around the truck as if they were going to find a dead body in that truck. They don't.
I know. I heard that too. I was like, are they trying to tell me the truck is dead? Like, what is this Foley?
We made you. So they go to the house, which turns out to be a model home.
Yeah. It's like a staged, like, unit.
Yeah.
And what we come to find out is like where they are, like they were going to build a bunch of track homes there, or like, you know, they were going to build like, I think it was like 1,300 houses there.
Something. And then they didn't. It just like stopped for no reason.
Well, it was 2008. Like this was the time. I think maybe M. Night Shyamalan was like trying to blow the whistle on the real estate bubble going on at that time.
Doubt it, but maybe.
He was like, listen, The Happening's really about subprime mortgages.
Right.
Y'all are just too stupid to get it.
If I was M. Night, I would hold to that story so hard.
Oh, that would have been funny. They're in the model home. And at this point, Marky Mark is just like, I think it's the plants. Why is it always starting the PAHKs?
When he picks up that glass of wine and does not at all acknowledge that it's a fake glass of wine.
And looks like he's about to drink it.
He's like swilling it around like he's gotta let it breathe or whatever. This movie is a rom-com, I think.
Maybe.
And it was just like M. Night Shyamalan directed it, so it comes off creepy.
I don't know, but he then goes up to a ficus tree that is clearly fake from the jump.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hello?
Oh my God.
We're just going to take what we need.
I laughed.
And then we're going to go. Is that okay? And he's like, oh, it's plastic.
And this tree is like moving, like the AC's directly on it. It's very funny.
It was like he was doing a bit for everyone else in the room, but no one else was in the room. And I was like, I was laughing hysterically. And I was like, oh, wait, this is like serious.
Yeah.
I think.
They want me to think he's serious right now.
I was losing my mind, losing my damn mind, because it was moving. And even the movement looked goofy. And I was like, there's no way. If that's a real plant that's like moving in the house and he actually gets to talk, I'm like, that's not jumping a shark, that's jumping a whole aquarium.
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy. And then when he was like, oh, it's a fake tree, I was like, no shit, it's a fake tree. It has a basket for a bottom. Like, bruh.
I've got a basket for a bottom.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's full of cake, Paige.
Got a basket full of cake on that Mikey.
Cake. Anyway, it's a model home. They look out and they see more people running towards the model home community and they all die.
Oh my God.
They turn on a lawnmower and lay in front of it.
When they start like running towards the house and then they pause because that's part of it, right?
Right.
It honestly like made me laugh because at this point they're making it clear that it is the number of people.
Right.
Like the plants will only tolerate so many people.
Well, like it's population control, but then they never bring that message home.
Right.
So
like if you exceed that field's population limit, the plants are going to fart you to death.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah. The trees are like, you dealt pollution, so we're going to, whoever smelt it dealt it you. Just like silent but deadly.
That should have been the name of this movie.
Silent but deadly because the trees are killing people with farts.
Yeah.
What's the worst fart you've ever had? Like, do you ever have like a fart that you remember? It was so crazy you remembered it?
I don't catalog my farts.
Yes.
Missing out. Mikey, tell me about it.
My friend Brent's 21st birthday party. We went to the casino.
You have like a worst fart story just ready to go.
It's also my worst throw up story.
Oh no.
Tell me more, Mikey.
Well, we were at Tunica, Mississippi casinos for his 21st birthday for the weekend.
Okay.
Where on Saturday we drank all day and gambled, all like heavily intoxicated.
Sure.
Plus seafood buffet.
That's a dangerous combination.
It was the worst combination I've ever had, where like I threw up. Oh, I can't even talk about it because it'll make you like, but like chunks of crab came up at this like.
Oh God, Mikey!
God.
And it smelled. It was tasted bad. Like the throw up made me want to throw up, and then like there were farts with it, and I was just like, I feel terrible.
Oh God, that is terrible. I'm going to be real vulnerable with you guys right now for my worst fart story.
Let's get real with it.
It was the first time Jake ever stayed over, and we went and got burgers from a fancy burger place. And then, the evening progressed. We're asleep, and I wake up to the loudest fart I've ever heard, and then also realize it's coming out of my own body.
Love it.
And Jake also woke up and was like, what the hell was that? And I was like, I'm sorry, but I think you're really cool. Like, hey, I was asleep, didn't mean to. And then we laughed about it. And we're still married to this day. You're welcome. Pro tip, fart in front of the people you love.
The family that farts together stays together, Paige.
Stays together. Anyway, as they're running away from these people laying in front of this lawnmower.
That scene was scary. Like, well, not scary maybe because it like you see it coming.
Yeah.
But like it is sort of tense. you do see the lawnmower like roll up on this dude and start chopping him in half. It's very Maximum Overdrive, though.
Which I don't even know if a lawnmower could do that. Like, it would definitely hurt and kill you, but like...
Oh, the lawnmower could do that. Yeah, you could kill somebody with a lawnmower, yeah.
It's a big ride-on mower, so yeah, I guess.
Have you not seen Dead Alive, Paige?
I have seen Dead Alive.
I haven't,
but that
actually.
one, he straps it to his chest, and it's awesome. Anyway... So they pass a sign that says new homes 300K and up. And I was like, oh, if only.
Those damn subprime mortgage.
I had that same fucking thought. I was like, wow.
It's a fucking mansion. And they're like, it's $300,000. And I'm like,
I know. Those were some nice ass houses on that sign.
I was having some thoughts about like how shitty that. I was like looking at my small ass house. That's more than 300,000. It's like, man, be nice to have some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's less than half of the cost of my starter home in California.
I mean, we all paid more than that for our starter homes, for sure.
Yeah.
Not in California.
I know.
I paid less than 300K, but I have a very small house. That's a fucking mansion.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you paid less than I mean, it's way over that now, though.
Mikey got in early. He was the first one of us to buy a house.
Boo, 2021. I was like, I better do this or I won't be able to afford a house later.
I bought a house in 2020.
Oh, that's right. You had to wait for yours to get built.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have the equity now where I think I could upgrade, but the interest rate's too high.
Yeah, the interest rate's terrible. If you're comfortable, don't just stay put, man.
But I've got like over 150,000 in equity now.
Bro, same.
We've got about 100,000 in equity on our place, and
crazy.
we only bought it a year ago. But that's California for you.
California.
But like, this is just how we benefit from the problem.
I know.
Yeah.
But also backyards, yay.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to have to go ahead and say that it's not a problem anymore because I'm in it.
I will say we did not buy in a gentrifying neighborhood.
Whoa.
No,
Whoa.
By that I mean we didn't take somebody's spot. We didn't like come in and flip a house. We just bought a house appropriate for our needs.
I mean, you're still living there. You didn't flip anything. You just moved.
No, that's what I'm saying. But like people buy cheap houses in developing neighborhoods and flip them, and it forces people out. And we did not do that.
Yeah.
We just bought a house that we could live in.
I bought it. It was already renovated. I didn't buy it to renovate.
That's true. You bought it to live there. Anyway, they take off running and they find another house. But as they're like walking, the two boys are like, why don't you have kids? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your relationship? And you're like, shut the fuck up, 12-year-olds.
And then that 12-year-old gives
shit.
him like some pretty solid advice, like some like life advice you would get from someone twice your age.
Yeah, you have to take personal responsibility for your part of the relationship.
Yeah.
It's wild. But they also hear from a radio that they find just tied to a fence that there are police borders west of the state, and if you can get to them, it's safe. But they decide that they have to find a place to stop and get some food because Jess is only 8, and so she's tired and hungry. So they stop at a house, and it looks like there's nobody in there, but there is someone moving inside.
Yeah.
This is also where he tells her about the lady at the pharmacy, that it's a story that goes nowhere, but it's basically just like, I don't give a fuck about the tiramisu. The world's ending.
Yeah, he's like, I don't give a shit if you went on a date.
Yeah, he's like, I want to fucking bang before we die. So like, I don't care about the tiramisu.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to address this until months later.
Yeah.
If we live through today.
Also, we have a kid now. So like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely those people are dead. This is our child now.
But like, seeing what the parents did, they probably would. I mean, the kid's probably better off.
I guess.
I do think the kid is better off. John Leguizamo seemed like, based upon the fact that he was willing to leave his child, not the best father.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the math on that, John Leguizamo?
There's like a 62% chance he's a shitty dad, Mikey.
And 10% chance that he's going to fight Santa to the death.
Hell yeah.
But only a 20% concentrated power of will. So like, who knows exactly how it's going to work out.
Fort Minor. Boo, 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 boo.
I made a music joke people got.
You did. So there's somebody moving in the house and they're not answering the door. And Marky Mark is like, we should just leave. Like, let's go. And the two boys are like, no, there's somebody in there. And the guy yells at them like, get the fuck away. And they don't. They keep trying to beat that door down. And then the guy just pokes a shotgun out and shoots one kid and then shoots the other.
Yeah, like shoots one kid in the chest with like buckshot.
I found this not realistic for
No.
one reason. Well, for 17 reasons. But the main reason is once I hear a shot and see a guy fall, I'm fucking running.
Yes,
Running.
exactly.
And they're all like, who shot him? And I'm like, I would have grabbed the kid and ran.
What do you mean, who shot him?
Yeah.
Well, and then after the second kid goes down, Marky Mark is like, how are we going to get out of this nightmare? And I was like, you got to run, dude. They're dead.
Let me think, Paige. Let me think.
What's the odds of that guy stopping and only shooting the 2 children and not the adults
0.
those children were with, right?
0. And the guy's like, if you don't want me to shoot more people. And I was like, fucking, you should already be 20 yards away from his house at this point. Like, run.
Yes. What are you doing? Run the fuck away.
Run. And Jess was smart. Jess ran. They catch up to Jess.
Also, he's like, don't let the gas in if I open the door. But his windows are open and like cracked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole scene is just wild.
But at least he is hunkered down.
He is hunkered down.
I guess.
I wouldn't let strangers in my house either.
Yeah, we cut to a home of people we've never met before in our lives that have gas masks. Smart.
Yeah.
And they're watching the news where the news is like, no new people have crossed the border in a few hours. And it seems to be rising in sensitivity, which brings me to why was nobody answering the train stuff? Because like clearly the news is still on because they just stayed in the office. Anyway, they're also interviewing a guy who's like, somebody who was maybe a CIA informant, maybe it was nuclear power, maybe it's whatever, and nobody knows what it is.
But I do like that immediately everyone's like, it was the government, right? Like the government did this to us.
Honestly, not a bad assumption.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they tested stuff on a populace of people. But
they did this to San Francisco in the 60s, just putting it out there.
Well, not this. It was like LSD though, right? Like it was
an airborne pathogen that ended up making a few people ill.
Yeah.
But nobody died that we know of, but still, yeah.
Now's the time. The real estate's too expensive.
And San Francisco especially.
So what you're saying is the plants from The Happening are really just trying to help out people get into homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Happening is a real estate boom.
Yeah.
Also a Kick-Ass Supremes song. Anyway, they roll up to this house because there's no power and nobody's driven on the driveway in a long time. And they go down there and he's looking in the windows and there's a lady like on the porch with her lemonade just like, you eyeing my lemon drink? That bell is for my retriever. And you're just like, what?
She's got some real I'm gonna fuck Marky Mark energy in this first scene. And it was weird.
It is weird.
She does kind of seem like the old lady from X.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
She's like, are you going to steal my underwear? And he's like, what? No.
You got to steal my underwear and my virtue?
What?
Like,
Didn't know Marky Mark was into that.
And he's like, no, we just, hey, we just need help. There's something going on. And she's like, oh, I guess I have to invite you in and feed you now. And it's like, technically you don't.
I ain't gonna ask twice. And I was like, well, you haven't asked once.
You haven't asked once. Technically, you could just be like, here's a sandwich. Bye.
Or just be like, I don't know what's happening. Please leave.
Yeah.
This is her property.
Or just kill her and take the property. Like it's the end of the world. Yeah.
I mean, they do sort of conveniently kill this lady and then they still don't stay.
The movie conveniently kills her. Yeah, Marky Mark doesn't.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's just the story Marky Mark tells the world.
Yeah.
What actually happened is after having sex with the old lady and
the doll,
the wooden doll, he murdered her. Yeah.
The tree infected this pillow and smothered her. Yeah, like.
Oh.
She got the wood from the tree.
Oh.
She got splintered all up.
Why is it always happening in parks? So they sit down to dinner and she's like, who's chasing who? Because clearly you guys have a shitty relationship. And he's like, haha, it's me. She had tiramisu with Joey or whatever.
It's a really weird scene. Like,
it's a really weird scene.
Who's chasing who? Calm down, my best friend's wedding.
Yeah,
what are we talking about?
If you're chasing the bread truck, then who's chasing you? And like, this is where Jess goes to reach for a cookie that's on the table, in the middle of the table for everybody else, like for everyone to have.
I was going to bring that up because it is, I'll say, where you put an appetizer you want to share with everyone you're at dinner with.
Yes.
The cookie looks fair game in my mind.
Yes. And she slaps that girl's hand hard.
Yeah.
And is like, don't touch things that aren't yours. What? And then later hands her a cookie. Like a minute later in the scene.
Yeah. I think the cookie thing was a test to see if the little girl was a Jedi.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because she would have moved her hand had she known.
Well, this lady is obsessed with them stealing. And so she has her own issues. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, this lady is unwell, which I think explains the house, the way it's set up with like no power,
Yeah.
she takes decent care of it, but it's not like a great place.
Yeah.
You know, she is somewhat self-sufficient, but I think like there's something that's not fully connected upstairs.
Yeah.
I think is the way she's positioned. I'm not quite sure exactly what, but something like that.
Well, and they try to tell her like, hey, something's happened. And she's like, I don't want to hear about it. Keep it to yourself. I guess I have to let you stay the night. So there's a guest room is up on the left.
Which, like, after that, I wouldn't want to stay the night, I don't think.
No.
Although this decision saves their life because
It does.
We come to find out while you were sleeping, the bad thing ended.
Well, or it ends the next morning, but it
Yeah.
reaches its peak of sensitivity in the morning.
Yeah.
Just like me.
That's when you're most sensitive. Like that's when
Yeah.
like the insults hurt the most.
Yeah, that's why we record at night most of the time.
Yeah, because you're the one that gets insulted a lot on the podcast.
100%. Just like the people with dreadlocks who are white. This is who I'm going for this episode. I wish the plants would burp you to death.
Burp you to death.
Todd, who do you want to pick to go after this episode?
Yeah. Texans?
No, I feel like they are having a hard enough time just being Texan. I'm
I'm
not even joking. Like I see on Reddit all the time, people complain about property taxes and stuff in Texas going insane. But like, it is what it is. I don't really feel like I want to go after anybody.
I'm going to go after people who stand on moving walkways.
That's a really, really good target.
Yeah.
That's a really good target.
And I don't mean people who need assistance and that's why they're on the moving walkway. I mean the people who are perfectly able to walk and are moving and then just stop to stare at their phone and hold up a whole line of people. You know who you are.
I agree with that.
I have one.
Yeah?
People with PhDs who refer to themselves as doctor.
I am on board all of this.
I'm not on board with that because some of those are going to be the scientists that find out that the trees are farting.
Not unless it's Oscar Isaac. If one of those people is Marky Mark and he's got a PhD, that motherfucker's Marky Mark.
Yeah, but you know he'd be like, call me Ryan.
He'd be like, call me Dr. Marky.
PhD, PH Duncan.
Why is it starting parks?
Why is it always happening in parks?
Cut to it never happening in a park after he says that.
Yeah, it's only the two. Or I guess maybe the quad at Princeton, but...
Oh, I wonder what they're going to do to commemorate the Central Park disaster. Are they going to make another park?
I'm going to say terrarium. Real bad choice.
Here's the Central Park Massacre Park.
Here's a fountain.
Anyway, they're all talking in the bedroom. They're like, it was kind of fucked up how she hit a kid. And like, yeah, we should have maybe said something in the moment. And we didn't. But they're like, well, we'll stay tonight. We'll just deal with her. We'll find out, we'll find a different place tomorrow.
Dude, she gets real weird before bed.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't?
Well, yeah, because she overhears them and she's like, you're going to steal or murder me. And they're like, no.
No,
like,
we're not.
And Marky Mark's, what? No.
The old lady's like in her nightgown being like, I'd choose a bear.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
I would
calm
too,
down.
by the way.
I mean, you should choose bear, Paige.
Bears, the amount of bear attacks, shockingly low compared to the amount of people attacks. Just saying. Statistically, it's a good choice.
Even if you had to decide which one you wanted to kill you, it's the bear.
You have to normalize for population, though. I feel like there's a lot more people than bears.
That's true.
If there was 8 billion bears, there'd be a lot of bear attacks.
That is true. But also, I think the bear doesn't want to interact with you unless you, make it. Most bears leave people alone.
That's how I am.
No, if I learned anything from this movie, all I have to do is shake my hand in front of a wild animal and it will then rip it off. It'll snatch it.
They also didn't say what kind of bear. They didn't specify. What if it's panda?
Paige, even if both the choices are definitely going to kill you, the bear is the better option.
Of course.
That's what's scary about it. Because the bear only wants to kill you.
Do they have weapons, or is it like me and this other guy in the woods and like the better man, like we have to kill each other?
I sort of like this man versus bear for love TV show you're pitching right now. And I know a guy who built a suit that can help us with this fight.
I'm just saying, I'd pick man because I think I have a better chance killing a man than a bear.
Well, but that's why they don't ask the question of you. The question is asked of women.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why they pick bear.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
bear is the right choice.
Because I'm like, yeah, I'd kill a guy in the woods. No one would know.
Well, here's the thing. If we had weapons, I'd still probably pick bear.
You'd pick bear. Bear's the right choice.
Bear's the right choice. I do think I could outsmart a bear more easily. I could outsmart a man, but I am at a disadvantage being a 5'2" lady in a forest alone. Whereas with bear, if I run away, that bear's probably not going to chase me for very long. It's probably like, oh, good, she's gone. I'm going to go keep doing bear stuff, like dancing at the eagle. If it's a gay bear, I definitely choose bear.
I'd pick a white guy with dreadlocks, and then I have to kill him in the woods. because you know he goes to the woods.
Well,
because he's a white guy with dreadlocks.
Mikey, when he's not in the woods, he's at Bonnaroo.
He's skateboarding on my truck.
It's a longboard, Mikey. There's a difference.
Oh, you're so skinny because you can't afford food. Look at you.
Okay, Mikey.
What are you going to do? Kick him off the podcast page?
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets up the next morning and Jess and Alma are gone. Now, we did introduce last night briefly through one line of dialogue that there is essentially quarters in the back of the property that used to be part of the Underground Railroad, and there's a speaking tube between the two. And so we hear Jess and Alma, so we know that they're in the place of the speaking tube.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he walks into a room and he's like, Mrs. Jones? Mrs. Jones? And he walks fully into a room where he can see a doll laying on the bed and he's like, Mrs. Jones? And I was like, that's clearly an evil doll, bruh. Like,
do you think Mrs. Jones turned back into her Pinocchio version of herself?
Yeah.
Like, that is not Mrs. Jones.
What kind of fuckery is this? Yeah, it's just... It's nonsense.
Of all the songs you could have gone, I think Mikey chose the right one a second ago when he was doing
Mrs. Jones and me.
Jones and me.
Mine was me and Mr. Jones.
Me and Mr. Jones. I mean, one of them was correct.
Both. Yes. Anyway, he can fully see the doll. And then she like pops out from behind the door and is just like, yo, get out now. And he's like, I just want to talk to you. And she's like, leave now. And then she walks out into the backyard and just immediately like, click, the tree farts got her.
Yeah, because the wind blows on her.
Yeah.
She gets crop dusted right in the face. And so she goes insane and like tries to off herself, right? By smashing her head into various windows.
Right, and which would have let the air inside and Marky Mark would have died.
That's why he had to go into the basement where he could hear Zooey Deschanel and his new daughter.
Right. And he's just like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I'm alone. No, I have to be with you. And I was like, what? Like, just wait it out, man. Like,
if I'm going to die, I'm going to do it with you. I was like, oh, he's already taking the gas because he's doing something stupid.
And then they like want me to feel like this is a Mr. Darcy moment where he starts to walk across this field to her. And I was like, that is not what this is.
And she walks out too. I was like, with Jess. And I was like, so you're just going to murder this kid? Like, everyone's going to die?
I needed a scene with New Girl and that little girl where she was like, do you want to go outside? It will kill us.
Yeah.
And that little girl will be like, sure. For me not to be like, oh, you're just killing this child.
Yeah.
This is a horror movie for the child's perspective because every adult wants to kill her or abandon her.
Yeah.
Or make the worst decisions regarding her safety and like longevity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they go outside and then magically it has stopped at 9:58 a.m. I like to think that plastic ficus put in a good word.
That plastic ficus was like, hey, man. That guy?
They're cool. They just want to go. Like, they're going to take what they need and go.
They recycle.
Anyway, they go back inside and hide in the cellar for a little bit. And they're like, I guess it ended before we went out there. And then we cut to 3 months later.
Oh, wait, before we do all this, but now that we're at the end of the scene with or the sequence with the old lady, the night before when she's like, what, are you going to murder me? Marky Mark answers with what? No. But he says it in a way that makes it sound like they're definitely going to kill her. He's like, what? No. Why would we do that? Yeah, no.
It only ever happens in PAHKs.
It's just very funny to me.
3 months later, their schools are already reopened.
Yeah.
They're sending Jess off to school, and Zooey Deschanel takes a pregnancy test while Marky Mark is walking her to school. And on the walk back, she reveals that she is pregnant. And they're just like, on the news, they're like, I don't know, maybe it was the plants, like a bunch of people said, or like maybe it's like red tide and it kills, instead of like fish, it killed us on land, like a population control thing. But we're not going to explain it at all. But because we don't know, I guess it could happen anywhere else. Who knows? Cut to France.
Before you guys finish, I sent you a meme that has to do with this movie.
Mikey, I'm already looking at it. It's got 3 hot dogs on it and a picture of your family, and it says one has to go. That is definitely that couple from this movie. The couple who has left their family behind, started a plant nursery, and what I am assuming is the first international hot dog lobby.
Anyway, back to France, where it suddenly happens again, and he just goes, Mon Dieu. And that's the movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what do you guys think about The Happening?
Trash.
Yeah, I do think that this is a Mikey movie on some level, but
yes,
it's not fun. Like, doesn't feel fun to watch. I think you should see it once, though, because there are famous people in this movie doing a terrible job with what is possibly the worst script that M. Night's mother put up on the fridge.
Yes.
Like, that is what it feels like.
It's definitely something you should experience once.
Yes.
You may like it over and over again. It's a modern Mikey movie where it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel actively dumber for having watched this movie. And I texted you guys as much.
You kept saying your brain was smooth, and I thought that was a really good explanation for what it does.
The tree farts made my brain smooth.
It turns your brain into like the outside of a watermelon. Like, that's what it does.
Yeah. Say hi to my melon for me.
Say hi to my melon for me.
You're a married woman, Paige.
Just one of the melons. Just one. Pick one. Right, left.
Paige. I'm going to go with the good one.
Great.
Because only you know what that one is.
Right.
I'm going to say bye to your
is
Quado.
that right as in correct or right as in right?
Who's to say?
Well, Paige, do you have any fun facts you can say at us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Happening fun facts.
Mark Wahlberg has publicly admitted that he regrets working on this movie, but he did say, quote, "You can't blame me for wanting to try to play a science teacher. At least I wasn't playing a cop or a crook."
That's true.
I mean, that is unlike him. Yeah. Which I will say this. He excels in those roles.
I know. Sometimes you just got to know your lane.
Marky Mark in The Departed does a great job because, like, I feel like that's just who he is.
Yeah. Just like I am perfectly suited for your kind of sloppy roommate that gives decent relationship advice and gets way more like action than people expect.
So what you're saying is that you've been season 3 of Bridgerton this whole time.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This whole time. Just call me Penelope. I'm so excited. It was so good. The carriage scene, chef's kiss. They play Pitbull in it. Like, how could you not love it? Mikey, I can't believe you're not supporting Pitbull in this moment.
How could you not support the international worldwide man of mystery?
Yeah. They put Pitbull over a Bridgerton sex scene. How are you not on board?
I've got to catch up. Season 2 bored me.
Yeah, I was out for season 2.
They did not have any of the sex.
It's way better than season 2. But also Pitbull. Anyway, back to fun facts.
Yeah.
This movie was shot completely in sequence.
I buy that.
That's a weird thing that people don't do for a reason.
But I mean, really, like, there's almost no, like, locations in this. There are, like, locations.
It's
I don't know.
just fields.
Yeah, it feels
It's
like
Marky
a
Mark's
very...
face. A lot of it is Marky Mark's face.
A lot of close-ups of him being like, "Why the PAHKs? Do you think it's the plants?" The line that he says, the "be scientific douchebag," is improvised.
Oh,
God.
is it?
Of course it is.
My God.
The DVD version also contained deleted scenes. One of a piano recital captured on cell phone video, which is something that happens inside. So, like, why? The movie forgets its own rules.
Yeah. That's probably why they cut it, honestly.
Yeah. They also had extended, more gruesome versions of the lion attack and the kids being shot on the porch and a fight between Marky Mark and Zooey Deschanel where they fight and then make up. But they cut all of that.
I mean, there's also zero B-plot in this movie. They refuse to cut away from Marky Mark this entire film, and that is too much of the Marky.
It is weird.
Yeah, well, the B plot is John Leguizamo, but it ends 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, when he abandons his child.
Yeah.
Unlike most of the people that worked on this movie, Zooey Deschanel says that it was one of her favorite production experiences and that she thinks that people don't know how to appreciate the concept of, quote, natural terror, and she thinks that this was inspired by The Birds. Maybe it was, but...
Has she never seen the movie and she's just like thinking about like what it was like to make it?
Yeah.
I mean, you could make an argument that movies like The Birds inspired something like this, but like, it's possible that she's never seen this movie and it was just fun on set. Anyway.
Yeah.
At 53 minutes in, Marky Mark talks about primordial bacteria in Australia killing off fishermen.
He does.
Yeah, and it's pyrethyrins. They're a neurotoxin derived from chrysanthemum plants, specifically chrysanthemums native to Australia. It's commonly found in organic insecticides because it is highly toxic to bees. So, like, maybe he had the bee answer the whole time. Anyway.
He was just trying to engage his students because he's a good teacher or whatever.
Maybe. Yeah. By, like, saying that they're really attractive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're too hot to understand bees.
Jesus Christ.
Why don't we talk about the birds and the bees?
And the bees. In June of 2008, before film reviews for this movie went live, M. Night Shyamalan gave an interview to the New York Daily News where he said, quote, "We're making an excellent bee movie. That's our goal." And bee like the letter, not like the bees, because there's no bees in this movie.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess if that was the goal, why didn't they market it like that?
I don't think it was the goal. I think he had already seen a cut of the movie at that point. It was doing damage control.
Yeah. Because it does sort of play like a bad 50s B comedy horror movie.
Yeah. The tagline for the film was, "We've sensed it. We've seen the signs. Now it's happening."
Wow.
Referring to both the Sixth Sense and Signs and then the happening.
Gotta love a tagline that's like, hey, remember these other really great movies? This is not one of them, but please come see it based on the strength of that.
Signs was real good.
It was.
The character of Alma was originally written for Amy Adams.
I think she would have done a great job with it and been
She
better.
would have nailed it.
Because I think Zooey Deschanel
so
is too like quirky and funny, which I mean like as a compliment. I think she's great in that like comedy lane.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is her lane. And also it's a trash script. So like,
yes,
if it was a better written movie, Zooey Deschanel might have fucking rocked it. You know, like I don't know.
So within the script, allegedly, according to people who worked with the script and on the film, Alma was supposed to be the one who gave the feeling of peace and tranquility. So, like, that's why they don't have her freaking out as much. But I think it just reads as her being like a two-dimensional character with no character traits. The reason that Amy Adams didn't do this movie is they could not reach an economic agreement, and so she rejected the role.
Okay. That
checks out.
Very shocking to me, but okay.
Yep. At the end, Jess wears an Avatar the Last Airbender backpack. The 2010 live-action version was M. Night Shyamalan's next film and arguably the worst. This is the shortest film of his career with a running time of 91 minutes.
Lucky us.
So the plot of the film takes inspiration from a real phenomenon of the trees of the acacia genus. Acacias have a defense system where each plant is in close contact with another. And if it's approached by a predator of its foliage, the plants react chemically, releasing substances that are transferred by air and reach other plants, raising the alarm. Immediately, the rest of the acacia specimens that are nearby will begin to secrete a toxic substance in their leaves that is harmful in contact and ingestion, and even deadly for animals. So I think that's what they were trying to go
That's
for.
super interesting, but I don't think blades of grass do that, right?
No, it's just this one type of plant.
Ah, that makes more sense. Yeah, this is implausible. Got it.
The science doesn't check out, is what you're saying.
No. And also, according to M. Night Shyamalan, 85% of the movie takes place outside, which is like the one place it shouldn't take place.
I mean, it does make sense, though, that we're watching The Only Dumb People. And, you know, that we're just watching them die because they're dumb, you know?
Right. Now, that billboard that proclaimed houses for $300K also has a motto that says, "You deserve this."
Yeah.
As kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing of like, you didn't treat the earth right, and that's why the trees are farting you to death, I guess.
I do love it as trees farting us to death.
Yeah. So I'll end on this fun fact. Zooey Deschanel's character, as we mentioned, is named Alma. In real life, Mark Wahlberg's mother's name is Alma. So
What?
literally, say hi to your mother for me.
Yeah.
And those are your fun facts.
Hell yeah, Paige. Thank you for those fun facts. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think this high school production of The Happening cost to make in 2008?
$36 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say worse. I'm going to say that this was an egregious misuse of funds at 55.
Paige, that would have been an egregious misuse of funds, especially if you factor in like inflation since then.
Yeah.
But it was a $60 million movie, so you were still under.
Oh my God.
I fucking knew it. I was
Yeah.
like, there's no way this didn't cost so much money.
That's the worst.
Literally, if you get all your actors to volunteer, which would never happen, but like if you did, just to talk about the production quality of this movie, I could have shot this with that camera right over my shoulder, and it would have like been the same movie for like 100 thou.
Yeah.
100%. Anyway, if you adjust for inflation, that $60 million would cost today $87.3 million. So this movie came out, it premiered on June 13th, 2008. It was number 3 in the theaters that weekend. It was beat by The Incredible Hulk, was number 1. Number 2 was Kung Fu Panda. Number 3 was The Happening, obviously. Number 4 was You Don't Mess with the Zohan. And number 5 was Mikey's favorite Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I know what I saw this weekend. My dad came to visit me in Southern California, and we went to go see a movie. And I said, let's go see Kung Fu Panda. And Dad was like, no, let's go see You Don't Mess with the Zohan. It's definitely going to be funnier. It was not. He took me to see You Don't Mess with the Zohan, and then I made him take me to Kung Fu Panda a day or two later as an apology.
That checks out.
Yeah. Either way, you dodged a bullet with The Happening that was third this week.
Yep.
What do you think it brought in its opening weekend at the box office?
12 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say ridicule.
It definitely brought in
but
that.
also 15 million.
Yeah, so it brought in $30.5 million in its opening weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I do think M. Night Shyamalan had some hits, and this was before and perhaps was sort of the nail in the like, oh man, maybe he's not great. Because right after Signs...
He just needs an editor. He needs somebody to like double check the work.
I think there are directors who can do great shit, and notes from the studio are important in their work, you know? I think if you give them too much creative control, it can be negative. And I think that may be where he was landing in his career. Because it was literally Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, 3 great movies. Then The Village, The Lady in the Water, and The Happening. And I've not seen any of those movies, but I've heard very bad things about all of them. Except for The Happening. We just did that, obviously. But
I don't hate The Village. The Village grew on me. Lady in the Water was largely reviled.
Yeah, the only good thing about that movie is it features the music of Silvertide, and I love that band. But in its first week, it brought in $30 million, like I talked about. It did drop quite a bit in its second week, and only brought in $10 million, and then 3, and then 1, and then 500,000. You know, so like by the time it had been out a month, it was not bringing in a lot of money. Although
word got out.
Yeah, I do think that word got out and it kind of killed this movie. It was in the theaters for 14 weeks, though, although in its last week, it only brought in $1,975.
Ooh.
It was only in 11 theaters, but that's terrible. What do you think the domestic box office performance was for The Happening?
I'm going to say it's just shy of its budget and say 49.
Okay.
I'll go 54.
Guys, it actually brought in $64.5 million, so it made just over its budget back. It then went on to make $98.2 million internationally.
Ugh.
So it did make $162.7 million worldwide. So this movie, I mean, that's like a pretty decent return on $60 million budget to get $162.7 out of it. It's not bad, but it's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It also got an additional 22.4 in the domestic DVD and Blu-ray market. And these were like the golden years. Like 2007 and like 2009 were like the golden years of the DVD market, man. And it definitely raked in quite a bit of money in that. So it did make money, even though it was not great. But that is your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit us with your last scary scale?
Yeah, our scary scale, listeners, is a scale of 1 to 10. How scary we found the film today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters. Our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Paige.
This is a 1. It's a 1 for me.
Todd.
It's also a 1 for me. Yeah, it's not scary.
This is a 1 for me as well, and that's our scary scale. This is not scary.
Yeah, all right. So this week, the listeners made us watch The Happening. Paige, what are you making us watch next week as we kick off our new month?
I am actually not making you watch it because Mikey will not be with us. So we had a guest, and they picked The Guest, which seemed pretty apropos.
Yeah.
So we're going to be watching The Guest next week.
Well, awesome. So your homework for next week is to ponder and, you know, maybe even guess as to who might be the special guest as we tackle the movie, The Guest. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
No.
Well, while you're looking one up, let me read one of our Spotify comments that came in on our The Blob episode. And this one is from Eazy-E, possibly the rapper that passed away many, many years ago. And they say, holy hell, where are you from that you know about Paoli Peaks? That's a deep cut. And I've always been very clear that I live in Nashville. And that's like the closest place we could go skiing, even though it's like a 4.5, 5 hour drive. But that's where we would go skiing. So that's where Eazy-E. But, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
Ocho Bunny.
Well, what does Ocho Bunny have to say?
Title review, perfect. I ate horror, but love this podcast.
Well.
And I'm going to end my reviewing with the positive Todd review.
Oh, wow. So you needed to have someone else write positive words about me that you could then read and take credit for.
Yeah, but it's not too long, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
And they spell your name wrong, which I love as well.
How do they spell my name wrong? It's like
1D.
No, Mama gave me both these.
I'm sure she did.
Gross.
They say I could never be as brave as Todd. I could never be as brave as Todd. What a brave, brave person making brave, brave choices.
You're saying brave like it's like about a toaster? Can I just say like that? Like
that movie for me is like a 3 on the scary scale.
Yeah, that movie's
never seen
ridiculously emotional. The Brave Little Toaster?
Never
Brave
seen
Little
it.
Toaster.
Woo.
The scary air conditioning in the wall.
What a brave, brave person making brave, brave choices. 5 stars.
Well, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And if you want to have us read your Spotify comment or 5-star review, leave one of those things and we will do just that.
So guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter, or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week, so just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me.
This episode brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been like driving her crazy this week. So how is Tia's teenager driving her crazy this week?
She keeps talking to the houseplants.
Tia's teenager, they're plastic. Get over it. They're not going to like convince the other plants to not fart on you. This episode also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan hasn't sent me another video. So Jonathan, let me just take this time to thank you again for the support. So thank you. We appreciate it. We now return you to the final ever episode of the Patreonicals.
Okay. I thought about this in the last 30 seconds. This is how we're going to end it.
Oh, wow. You thought long and hard about this, comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
I thought we had like a plan for this.
We did. Mikey, did you execute on that plan?
We've, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
We've executed on the plan. So there's that giant... This is the biggest battle in the history of the Patreonicals.
Absolutely.
All right.
And then the sky opens up and God comes down.
He's starting with God. That is where this episode starts, Paige.
Is he going to orb out of a pool of blood and lightsaber fight a guy?
No,
because
he's beautiful.
Okay.
And it's he opens his lights and his beautiful perfection, and he's radiating light, and he says, "It's a Mikey, I'm a God."
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Of course, he makes himself God. Does this surprise anyone?
I'm not surprised, just disappointed.
The world has suffered long enough.
Why are you Italian?
Because
he's Roman Catholic? Got it.
Roman Catholic. Oh. Stop the fighting. And then I snap my finger. All the men's just get destroyed across the earth.
Okay.
And I snap my fingers again, and all the zombies are dead. And I said, I weep for humanity and what you've done to my beautiful creation.
I do fully think this is just Mikey blaming the patrons for being in the Patreonicals at this point.
Yeah.
And that to me is very funny.
A little questionable, but sure.
Time for me to fix what you all have done that I definitely had no part in.
Right. This is
Sure,
him
sure,
absolving
okay.
himself of ever having created the Patreonicals. That is what is happening.
And so
We are watching Mikey eat his own tail right now.
you wanted an end.
And you're giving us an Ouroboros.
Yeah.
The Patreonicals was the friends we made along the way all along. So I said, it's time to fix the world. And I clapped my hands. And it was like, what I'm going to do is, well, there's a lot of logistics to this. So I don't know if I have enough time to explain it all, but we're going to make the world all better. So we away. It's a normal place, and Kate's back home. And it's a normal society. There's a version of It's a Me, a God right there. And it's like, Kate, this is what your life would have been like without all of this, but you still have psychic powers, and you will go be happy and live happily ever after.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty chill of you, God.
Pretty chill of you, Italian Mikey.
Aaron, you have become an Olympic archery champion because you have Hawkeye powers, and that's how you get your happy ending.
Nice.
Wes,
What does the Tin Man get?
Well, he's a jet ski transformer. Fuck. All right, maybe I didn't think this through. Okay,
Oh, really?
you have gone back to Cybertron to live out your days and happy with Optimus Prime.
But
Okay.
you get to bring back the Allspark, saving your planet for all time.
Yeah, exactly. Like what Todd said.
Yeah.
Allie gets to go live.
Wait, Allie's back alive? I thought she was shot like a fish in a barrel.
Oh, I'm going to bring back all the people who died last episode.
Nice. I like it. In classic Patreonical fashion.
Yeah, full snap.
That was the plan. I knew I was coming back as God to set a happy ending.
Okay, I love it.
Allie, you're back from the dead and you're a mermaid again. You can go live with King Eric. Wait, what's the dad's name?
Prince Eric, but you mean King Triton? Prince
Triton.
Eric is the human guy who walks
Yeah.
on land and has too nice of shoulders for a cartoon.
King Triton's Mermaid Kingdom, which we lightly touched on years ago. And then Boezy's like, but I love her. And he's like, and I'm like, would you love her enough? And he's like, oh, yeah.
And then Italian Mikey is like, sing it to me.
Yeah.
You two gotta eat this spaghetti until you kiss in the middle.
I snap my fingers. We're in the Mermaid Kingdom, which is like Aquaman, but like better. And then, and I'm just me, but like, Boezy's a merman now. And I said, it's a you. Now you're a merman and you live with your love and goodbye. And they live happily.
No one ever chooses merman.
He's a supportive guy. Jeremy, with laser vision, he got to live out his dream of working at Publix and scanning the items with his eyes to check out.
All right.
Aim low for your dreams. You'll always be satisfied.
He is the assistant manager now.
He's the assistant to the manager, Mikey.
He didn't want the responsibility. This is his happy ending.
He needs his time off, guys.
Mr. Ragebomb goes on to become a UFC fighter
Nice.
and guest on the Joe Rogan podcast, but not in a weird way. He was just very
Okay.
popular in the UFC.
I like it.
Libby has her real arm back, and she goes and becomes a professor at a liberal arts college.
Cool. Good for her.
Sunzi, the laddie child, grows up to become a dictator of a third world country.
Whoa.
That actually
Okay.
checks out.
Maybe
Yeah.
not
All
so
right.
great.
But he's benevolent,
Okay.
so he forces all the gays to get married.
That's not what benevolent
That's not,
means.
okay. Still not really okay with it.
So I go back and smite him down years later and free them
cool.
all.
All right.
Mhm.
Cool.
River Moon ends up going to medical school because she goes to a world where her parents loved her. And so she helps people with science now and not essential oils.
Did they know what?
They died in the Sunny D virus page.
I wasn't around for that.
That was last week.
Never
well,
mind.
I mean, also the first step. Like, okay, so.
Yeah, hey, Mikey, could you give us just like a recap of what happened in the Patreonicals thus far for Paige?
Yeah, over the past 3 years.
Well, no. The Sunny D virus killed most of humanity and it turned into a post-apocalyptic hellscape. But the dinosaurs came back and there was Dinotopia and we went around to different countries. But then we went back in time to the Old West and then we went into space for a very long time. But then we went also through all the different time places.
Yeah, a lot happened, guys.
Yeah. You just have to go back and listen and subscribe and share and hit that like button.
Yep.
Smash that like button.
Okay, but like River Moon gets her family back, and because of that, she goes and turns to real medicine, and she cuts off her dreads.
She's like doTERRA, more like Dope Terra. I'm out.
Sexcalibur Bones a lot, takes off that power glove and becomes an amateur adult film star and makes lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
Oddly, keeps the same name.
Get it, Sexcalibur Bones a lot.
He ends up marrying Vixen Avery, and they start a very successful topless tutoring company.
Oh, no. The tutoring part of that bums me out.
It's for adults who want to learn how to read, Paige. It's a charity.
Okay.
Rude.
Okay. Derek Zoolander's school for adults that want to read good. Got it.
These are Your Titties Academy.
Your Titties University. Madeline becomes an Olympic gymnast.
Nice.
Cartwheels are
Lots
her
of
signature move. There's a lot of people whose skills don't really translate to the actual real world.
Got it.
Isn't that the truth? Just like his general.
Edward has a giant hammer. Let's see what his happy ending is.
Oh, hammer, don't hurt him.
He becomes a builder. And for a while in 2008, he was really worried, but he really goes through that and makes it through and has a beautiful family. And then the housing market rebounds and he makes a ton of money and he lives happily ever after. They have a beach house.
Nice. And that he built with his own hands.
Laura, who is a computer program, goes on to become Chat GPT.
Wait, what?
She evolves into Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like heard that voice on the Chat GPT personal assistant, that's actually her.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
Scarlett Johansson.
A lot of mix up.
Yeah, a lot of people confused about that, guys.
And this, my gift to you, Leaf Girl becomes a dental assistant. No, she becomes a real dentist. She becomes a real dentist and loves pulling teeth out of people.
Oh,
it's
just
her
like
passion.
that elf from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Kristen, while you're new, your happy ending is you become a professional jockey, and then at one point you won second place in the Kentucky Derby.
Not quite first. You almost got there. Maybe if you practiced a little bit harder or paid a little bit more on Patreon, you'd have gotten there.
Yeah, you should have joined earlier. And then, and then, God Mikey, I appear upon Karun and Natasha, and I said, I have restored your home planet and your numerous children that have died, and they go there and they never cry again.
So what you're saying is Mormonism is real because they got their own planet.
No, They already had it. They had other people are on it though, and they're not gods of it.
But also their planet is going to slowly fall through space to be closer to the other planets.
Yeah, how do you think wormholes work, Paige? Duh.
Well, the worm has to eat the hole into space. And I guess I'll end it with, I love you all very much, and I will miss this, not this particular part of this, but podcasting overall in talking to y'all. So that's how I'll end things, where God Mikey makes everyone have a happy ending, but then they reunite once a year for a giant orgy.
Great.
How else could you celebrate its passing?
Yeah.
Mikey Miss.
I do like that Mikey Miss is a giant orgy. But Mikey, thank you so much for regaling us with the tales of the Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it oogie spooky.
Yeah.
Have a great life.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I love it. That's perfect. Bye. We're going to miss you, Mikey nerds.
Yeah.
Why is this always happening in the parks?